If you are responsible for hosting meetings, leading gatherings at all, one of your primary jobs is to help people, help convert their attendance into attention. People choose to pay attention. Sometimes they just have to attend. In this video, I'm going to share 5 really clear examples. I call them context hooks of how you can invite people to be totally present and engaged in what you're about to do to set the tone for the rest of your event. All right, here we go. Context hook examples. In between the 5, I would invite you to pause the video and think about how you would apply it to your own gathering event, etc. So the first one is the Google method. You could call it the ChatGPT method too. It's Google and then fill in some word related to your purpose. In particular, this is an awesome word to Google. It's an Inuit word. In essence, my understanding of it is it's creating the environment where wisdom reveals itself. And so as a context hook, I might ask everybody to go off, Google this word, and say the first person to come back and paste the definition into the chat wins bonus pride. Or the first person to come off mute and share their understanding of this word wins. And all of a sudden, it doesn't matter what people were doing in that moment, there's a thing happening, a bit of a race. And so people are actively going and doing that, but that allows me to also set the context to say, hey, just like I invited you to go participate and actually engage in this session, I'm setting the tone and saying, and the reason I'm inviting you to participate is I want to create the environment where wisdom can reveal itself, right? Second one is this idea of contribution questions. Let's see if I can pull this up real quick. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. We'll zoom in. Contribution questions. These were adapted by my buddy Peter Block. And the really 3 questions that I would send this survey out or have a QR code and people scan it and just ask these questions. To what degree do you intend to get value out of this session? To what degree are you willing to engage personally to actually achieve this? And to what degree are you willing to take risks to learn during this experience? And then you might invite people to get into discussion around what they shared, or you might literally just have people fill that out and say, just so you know, as you begin the session, the way that you answered those questions is your choice now, and it will be your choice in a half hour, and it will be your choice in 3 hours also. The way that you engage in the session absolutely is up to you, and knowing that the higher your scores are, the more that I can predict you'll get out of this session, right? So you see, as a context hook, I'm inviting and setting the tone in the context for what's going to happen next. Number 3, I love this one. Painkiller calculator. So I learned this one working with a bunch of insurance executives at a company that shall remain nameless. And this was during COVID. They did not want to participate in this workshop with me. The workshop was about how to make virtual engagement easy. And these are a bunch of very busy VPs and above. And so I asked them in the chat, can you type the number of hours that you will be in meetings just in the next week? And all these numbers started flying through the chat. 20, 30, 40. There was none lower than 20, and there were numbers higher than 40, which if you're doing math in a work week, if you're meeting more than 40 hours a week, either you're working too much or you should start meeting less. In other words, right? This is a pain. I was asking them to calculate something that I knew was tiring them out, burning them out. And so then I was able to say, my intention in the 90 minutes that we have together in this workshop is to reduce the amount of pain and exhaustion you experience from 40 hours of meetings next week. With or without me, you're going to be in those meetings, right? I'm going to teach you some ideas to reduce Zoom fatigue, burnout, etc. Yada, yada, yada. So if you want to pause it here, think about what is the pain that your group experiences and how can you frame your session as a painkiller and have them actually do a little bit of a calculation around that. And the 4 one is prepare to share. So if you're familiar with my 5 ingredients for engagement, which you can find somewhere else on the channel, or I have it probably linked below in some how to make engagement easy masterclass situation. The prepare to share idea is during the context hook. If I know I'm going to be breaking people up into conversations, but I know that the group is a little bit more reserved or shy, sharing exactly what I'm going to ask them to talk about and giving them a full 2 minutes or 60 seconds to actually think about what they want to share, maybe even jot a couple notes about it, and then break them up into small groups for some connection before content. And so that prepare to share, just really setting the tone so that nobody feels rushed into what's about to happen. So an example of that might be, hey, you probably have a lot going on in your life right now, like way more than one thing. So can you write down 5 answers to this question on a sticky note? What's been taking up lots of your brain space lately? Great. Now, can you pick one that feels particularly relevant and break into small groups of 3, and just share what's taken up lots of your brain space lately with that group as a bit of a check-in to get present before we jump in to what we're going to talk about today. Contribution question, or prepare to share. Getting that prep for someone who is a little bit more reserved or appreciates thinking time is a big deal. It makes the conversation that's going to happen afterward much more impactful. And last but not least, I would say this is one of the most powerful things that you can do. It's if you spend even 60 seconds getting really crystal clear about what your intent is for a particular session and adding the words "so that" to the end of it. So my intent in this video is to share 5 really compelling ways to start your meeting. Okay, so what? The answer to so what lies in so that. So my intention is to share 5 really compelling ways to start your next gathering so that, and then in the box after so that, I'm inserting a currency that your audience cares about. Things that people care about in general: money, time, friendship, connection. We're going like primal. Like what do people actually really care about at a deep level? Oh my goodness, that's a wine glass? That's supposed to be a number. That's supposed to be a trophy. Here we go. Trophy, status, or reputation people care about, right? Sometimes I do believe that people actually just care about doing something good. I don't know how to draw altruism. I'll work on that. So my intent is to share 5 really compelling ways to start your next gathering so that you look really good to your boss when you're facilitating, right? So I'm plugging that status and reputation as a context hook for this video. That's all of a sudden more interesting. 5 interesting ways to start a meeting. Cool. 5 interesting ways to start a meeting to make you look good and possibly get promoted in the next year. Better, right? More compelling, more interesting. Now, the ethics of this, and let me go down to here. The ethics of sharing a so that intention is that it's a bit of a promise between you and a group. And if you break a promise, it destroys trust rather than builds it. And so this is being clear about your intent and including the needs of someone else is such a powerful and compelling tool, but it can be misused. And so my invite is to just always tell the truth when you're being clear about your intent. Creating some just blank, productive, unexpected silence is also a really great context hook. There's bonus number 6. Have an awesome day.